This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, LowcoSports fans, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr, as advertised, along with Marcus Walsh, WHHI TV, joining us as has become usual these days. And Marcus, a steady fixture, and Max out tonight, so happy to have you along for the ride, buddy. And we have friends coming along as well. We've got Chris Wells, the longtime Low Country baseball coach, finally got that first state championship last month with Hilton Head Prep, and he's going to sit down and talk with us a little. And, you know, we'll ask him if he's made a decision yet about whether his coaching career is going to continue to try to defend this title. And we'll see whether we get an answer. But you got to ask, right? And we asked him on the bus. I knew I wasn't getting an answer that night, but he's had a little time to reflect now. And I figured when I floated the invitation, that might, he probably expects it. So we'll have to ask him about that. And he might be coy, but so be it. And then after we recap the Dolphins championship run, we're going to talk with Hayden Brooks, the star. If there was a star, he's probably the star. It was kind of just a workmanlike crew.
Yeah, it was
Christian Academy this year.
Effort.
You know, last year Steele was the big name for sure. This year Hayden was the only senior, so he was the man. He was the guy. But it was really a yeoman-like team effort over there, and we'll talk about that with Hayden Brooks, who is on his way to play at Montreat College. So going to keep playing baseball up in the mountains, up not too far from where you're headed this weekend, Wes, for a little R&R. But so we're going to talk a lot of baseball tonight, but we'll get into some other headlines, including we finally made it Facebook official with our football coach at Hardyville. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Well received on Facebook, by the way. The community is rallying around him. The entire Loco community from one end to the other. So really excited about Biff Gardner, Arthur Gardner, taking over in the Ville, and he's already been out there getting the boys ready for year two of Canes football in this era. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, as well as anything else that's come across y'all's radar over the last few days. But first and foremost, how y'all doing? Wes, you hanging in there, buddy?
Yeah, it's been a short week because I'll be heading over for a family reunion kind of thing starting tomorrow. So nice to get away. It's gonna be warm. It's like 90-degree weather, but be nice over there. I'm wearing the Clemson shirt. I'll be right close to where Clemson is over the weekend. So that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to getting back after that and watch some youth baseball. We got the softball starting up this weekend for 9U and 11U. Marcus Walsh will be on the PA mic for that, and I'll be joining them next weekend as baseball takes center stage. I believe it's 6U and 8U, if I remember correctly, at the younger age.
That sounds right.
So it's 10. Is it 10U and 12U or 8U and 10U softball?
I think the softball is the older 10 and 12 maybe.
10 and 12, not the
8s.
I'm thinking it might be 8 and 10.
That might be right.
I know the 10s play this weekend for sure.
I think it's 8.
It might be.
I don't think the 12s. I think it's 8s and 10s.
Yeah.
And the 10s, as I understand it, sadly, is just Beaufort and Bluffton going toe to toe in a best of 3, and I think they both advance. I think the runner-up also advances. So, if any of the players are watching that, I'm sorry if that's a spoiler alert. Didn't mean to spoil it, Coach, but I did hear that tonight. That it's they're both going on to state regardless. Which is always interesting.
So hopefully I didn't hear that, and no matter what,
maybe we're wrong.
You play to win the game. You play to win the game, and
that's right.
Play to win the game. Who said that one, boys?
Herman Edwards.
Yep. Where's my Chiefs sticker? It's back there somewhere.
Yeah.
Herm Edwards, not our finest hour as Chiefs, but consistently frustrating. Good enough to be consistently frustrating. How you doing, Marcus? What have you been getting into? I know you're going to be calling the games over there at Oscar Frazier this weekend. Yeah,
doing well. Was it WHHI Monday? Was it WHHI yesterday? Was it WHHI today? Had meetings with some folks, certainly Jessa, and then saw my old boss in the the guy that hired me all those years ago, Wayne Morris, at the station today. Wayne's one of a kind, and he wishes all of you guys well. And great to sit and chat with him for about 45 minutes today. And then just doing some stuff around the place, and got to see my mom and dad for dinner tonight, and been locked on the Cleveland Guardians. They played a great game last night against New York, fell 3-2, and they're up 3-0 at last check tonight against the Yankees. And so in tune to that, and been kind of following some baseball storylines that have hit my eyes and ears over the last couple of weeks too.
All-Star voting has begun in Major League Baseball. It's
I have to admit, I'm checking my Cubby scores every day, but that's about all the MLB gets out of me right now, because the college softball World Series is phenomenal. We got a pitcher's duel going right now. Texas Tech and Texas 0-0 in the fourth. Najeri Kennedy. I'm not sure if Najeri is correct pronunciation, but Najeri.
Put down the other screen. Put the Stanley Cup on one screen and the softball.
Yeah. I've got the split screen going, but we're at intermission after the first in the hockey match, which is 2-1. And there's Wayne Gretzky, who looks just odd these days. It's just strange to see him now.
Yeah, he is certainly aged.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't compute with me. He kind of looks like the lady from the museum go round at Mr. Rogers.
Lady Elaine?
Yeah, Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
She looks a bit like Lady Elaine Fairchild at the moment. It's kind of strange. We might go viral.
As Herb
for
Score
that.
once said, listen to a ball game, you never know what you're going to find out. Folks, it's the same thing on LowcoSports.
That's right.
Say
what's going through this wild and crazy brain of mine.
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Lady Elaine Fairchild. She looms large in my mind. I must have been traumatized by her as a kid or something, because she still looms large in my life, Lady Elaine. I can just see those red cheeks and red nose. She was a lush, right? Have we talked about that as a society, that Lady Elaine Fairchild was drunk as a skunk running the museum around?
Yeah,
All right.
She was something. Wow.
But anyway, that had something to do with sports. It was the great one, Gretzky. That was our segue. So we're getting loose in the first 8 minutes here on the
almost off the rails,
which is
the first 10
presented
minutes.
by Mickelson Law Firm. Thank goodness we have friends coming by to talk about subjects where we'll stay on topic.
No
but,
kidding.
the play date has gone off the rails in the early minutes. Wednesday, June 4th. But anyway, this thing's sponsored by Mickelson Law Firm. I'm sure they're just proud as punch to be sponsoring this. They've been with us since the beginning. Our official real estate closing attorney and presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. So they will be happy that we have Hayden Brooks on tonight to talk Eagles baseball and their budding dynasty over there. But they can help you with all your legal needs. If you need something on the legal front, just call on Mickelson Law Firm right in downtown Bluffton, and they got you covered, just like they've covered us since 2017. Our official real estate closing attorney, presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. So yeah, we're back on track now. My Cubbies took the L tonight. Mackenzie Gore was dealing 2-0, tough loss, but they've been playing great baseball. They got a nice little cushion, top of the division, keeping pace with the big horses, the Stallions. So I'm cautiously optimistic. But yeah, between the World Series and then the baseball World Series and then the hockey and the basketball, I kind of defer MLB to the back burner for a little while.
Yeah,
and then I'll
right.
get
They'll
real
have
into
its time
it again
once everything else dies down, and you get to.
It's there for you every night during
then that's all you got.
Right.
The sports desert. Yeah. It's there for you every night. So, but yeah, there is some stuff we'll talk about a little bit later on. One thing that if we get to it tonight, we'll talk about it tonight. If not, I'll bring it up another night, because it's pretty deep and heavy and requires some, some nuanced discussion, I think. So I'll sit on that for now. But our football coach, Biff Gardner, Arthur Gardner, better known as Biff, been around the block. He's coached just about everywhere in the Low Country, it seems like, sometime or another, as far as this side of the river, that side of the river, Hardyville, hasn't been a head coach. This is what he's been waiting for. And, you know, he's the kind of guy that maybe might not come across as the most polished guy or something like that in an interview. So maybe I don't know that he's even interviewed for head coaching positions, but just hasn't happened for him. And my understanding is Rayleigh tried to get him in there last year, and it was just too late in the game and didn't happen. And able to get him hired this year, and he's already been over at the school helping with getting them ready, you know, spring practices. And that's something that we didn't really have last year at Hardyville, because we didn't have a coach in place, and we were splitting, you know, from Ridgeland. And
Right.
So it's going to make a huge difference. The weight room, Tyree Simmons, you know, former Jasper County legend who went on to play at Baylor, is getting the guys in the weight room and out there working. And, you know, a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork, former Canes from the first era, who want to be a part of it. And like, they feel like they have their program back, their community program back. Really, like last year was cool, but it felt, it was kind of, we were just stumbled getting out of the gates, you know. It just wasn't full all systems go. And it feels like this year is going to be a different story. And we look at our schedule and go, whew, those first 5 are tough. They're tough. We got Bowman, which looks like a you know, probably a win if we play well. But then we go to Whale Branch, and then we go to we have East Clarendon here. Those are both tough games that if we're sitting 3-0, we're looking great. If we're sitting 1-2, we're feeling, you know, we're licking our wounds, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. But then it's like bang, bang, 2 more tough ones with Hilton Head and Lee Central. And then you got region play, and you go to Ridgeland, and you got Bamberg, and you got Denmark, and you got Allendale, you got Branchville in there for homecoming in a non-region game. So we're excited, man. And it started getting my juices flowing just thinking about Lowco high school football. We're coming around in just a couple of months. It's going to be time to go. So pretty good stuff there. But our first guest has arrived. The man, the myth, the legend, and he's all decked out. Look at this, man. Chris Wells joining us on the LowcoSports Lowdown. Look at this. He's got team pictures, celebration pictures in the back. He's got the full coaching gear on. What's going on, Coach? You still basking in the glow?
Hey, why not? You wait this long, you want to enjoy every day. Yeah, we got the trophy. We got pictures of the guys. Yeah, it's been a fun couple of weeks since we won it.
Awesome stuff, man. And you said when you finally get one, how many years have you been at it now that this one finally came?
Yeah, I was a young kid out of college at Hilton Head High School back in the day, and 1999 was my first year as a varsity baseball coach.
Wow. And you've
been quite a ride.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Talk about the significance of getting one for yourself, but also for this program for Hilton Head Prep.
Yeah, you know,
first one.
Marcus, I think you're getting ready to ask. I started at Hilton Head Prep, and 2019 was my first year.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, 2019. It was a rebuilding time. You know, the year before they had a hard time fielding 9 and had to forfeit some games and won 1 game. The year before that, I think they won 2 games, and you know, it was kind of on life support. And I remember Rich Basirico walking into my office on a Friday afternoon saying, "Hey, Coach." I was like, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on?" And had no idea where the conversation was going. And he said, "I want you to be the next baseball coach at Prep." And I was like, "I didn't know y'all had an opening." And by Monday morning, I was having serious conversations and accepted it, and off we went. We had a pretty good year that year. The next year, I thought we were going to, you know, after kind of learning the landscape of SCISA baseball, and I didn't know who all the teams out there, didn't know a lot about it. And after having 1 year under the belt, I thought 2020 we were going to win it. And next thing you know, COVID hit and shut down a really good team. So it's been, you know, your question about the significance, you know, there was a lot of people during this run that were reaching out and wishing us well and coming to games at the end of the year and the playoff run and the state championship at home and away and neutral site. Just kind of, you could see the Dolphins gathering to show their support. And a lot of people were coming to the realization that, and we knew, but this has never happened. You know, what do you mean Prep's never won a state championship?
Yeah, it made me take a step back. Like, wait, really?
Yeah, you know, you remember those teams. I mean, Patrick Andrews and the run they had.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
but they had to play against the Porter Gouds and the Pine Woods and the
Sure.
big boys back then.
Yeah, the Calhouns, and they had some, they had some battles. And then a few years after that, they had the team with
Jake Martin and
Fox,
and Eli, not EJ Churchich, and that was the Luke Kent, Ned Mullis team.
Right.
Yeah, they were right on the cusp of winning it, and trust me, I know the feeling when you get there and you don't win it. So it was, we knew, but it wasn't kind of spoken about until late. And as we got through February and March and into April, as a coaches, you try to make sure that you're still connecting with them and letting them realize the opportunities in front of them. And it's tough because the further you get, it's talent on talent. And and that's the beauty of baseball is it's usually in a basketball game or a football game, especially in boys, the best team is going to win 9 out of 10 times. It's just is what it is. In baseball, that's not always the case. The best team doesn't always win. The team with the most talent doesn't always win. And sometimes David can conquer Goliath. And, we knew we had talent. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't always David versus Goliath with us. But, sometimes we looked across and go, they had as much or more talent than we do. And how are we going to win this game? And that was always the challenge. And that was our motto, is to stay together and fight through it.
And, I mean, just going through the emotion of a series like we saw for that state championship. I mean, 3 outs away in game 2. I mean, going back to game 1, pretty dominant performance. Jackson Sanders was brilliant, and then you go into game 2, you grab the lead, and then you come so close, and then you see it slip out in terms of that opportunity that night, and then just an all-out battle in that deciding game, that game 3 on Monday. I mean, just was it hard for the team to sit on that tough setback in game 2, and how do you guys kind of reinvigorate yourselves over a weekend, because you had some time to sit on it, in terms of focusing back in, locking back in to get that second win in game 3. So just tell me about how you guys navigated the emotion and just a
Wes,
battle in that series.
Yeah, not to cut you off there. There's a lot of emotions there. You're only touching on half of it. I mean, it started earlier when we didn't even know when we were going to start, and then all Mother Nature's played it, because the framework of the series is supposed to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. 3 games in 4 days necessary. And then we didn't know. We knew we weren't going to play Monday. I mean, there was just no chance with the weather. And then Sunday and Monday, Tuesday was in question. And then we all made the decisions, us and Coach Jameson and the ADs, that we were going to start this thing on Wednesday, and that meant Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, because we had baccalaureate on Friday, we had graduation on Saturday, they had baccalaureate on Sunday. There was actually conversations about whether or not we play on Sunday, and we settled on Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, and that there's more to this story that I don't even know if y'all know. So we to the top of the question is, coming off of a great performance by Jackson in game 1, to pitch 6 2/3, less than 90 pitches, get the W in dominant fashion, only 1 hit, and we played a clean game, and that's what we preach and strive for, and that's our goal every game, is to play a clean game, meaning get the bunts down, run the bases right, battle for 20, execute all the little things, because defend all 90 feet. And make it hard to score. And, we tested ourselves all year with, 4A and 3A SCISA competition and tough teams from out of state, and tried to figure out how to win those tight games. And game 1 was great. And then game 2, we have to go to their place. And I don't know if I'd ever been to a park that had more fans at it. I mean, it was crazy packed, and it was just awesome. I mean, it was like Friday Night Lights in Texas, in small town Orangeburg. And
the craziest was when they went to Patrick Henry a couple of years ago in the playoffs, because everybody came from Calhoun. And so it was a packed house in there.
Yeah. Well, we haven't gotten to game 3 and what that was like. But so game 2 was maybe the hardest emotional loss that I've ever been a part of. We were right there. You know, we had a 2-run lead in the bottom of, we're in on defense in the bottom of the 7th, nobody on, 1 out. And next thing you know, ground ball, error, runner on. Next thing you know, fast forward, there's runners on first and second, I think 1 out, ground ball, error. And we shot ourselves in the foot, and we let
snowball.
We let the door open a little bit, and they ran right through it and walked us off. And the emotions of that were devastating. Now, the Mother Nature part of it was interesting, right? Because had it been a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and we had to turn around that quick and play, I don't know if we'd have recovered from it. Like having Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get through the emotions of that loss. And I don't know if y'all even know this, but between game 1 and game 2, Orangeburg communicated to SCISA, and long story short, ruled Jackson ineligible for game 3 to pitch because of a lot of factors. And I get it, that because we weren't playing on Saturday, and in their estimation, Saturday was a day we could have played because graduation was between 10 and 12 o'clock. We could have played at 6:30 at night. That pitch counts should have been are frozen, and we're going to play Monday's game based on a Saturday pitch count rule. I didn't like the rule, or I didn't like the ruling, but it is what it is. You move on.
What it is.
Our players, when we lost that game, I hadn't told them that rule yet, because I didn't find out that ruling until right before infield outfield at Orangeburg. So I'm not going to tell my guys that. The ride home.
Oh, hey, by the way, you better win because Jackson can't pitch game 3.
Yeah,
you only get that in their heads before.
No, you can't. Right? You can't.
Coaching game.
We've got a lot going on campus Friday between senior breakfast and graduation practice and baccalaureate that night. We had to figure out where we're going to practice, when we're going to practice. So we have a practice. Well, the first thing I got to do at practice is break the news. Like, oh, by the way, the ace in the hole isn't pitching. And it was interesting. I broke the news to the seniors first, and they didn't blink an eye. And they just keep answering the bell all year long, and their confidence didn't waver. They're like, don't worry about it, coach. We got this. And I was just like, wow, awesome. And so then we break it to the rest of the team, and they're like, they followed the lead of their leaders, and they're like, let's go. And we had a hell of a practice on Friday, gave them Saturday off. And Sunday, was jam-packed with graduation parties and this, that, and the other. We had a Sunday morning practice at, I think it was 8 or 9 in the morning. And we focused on defense, and we really reflected on what that 7th inning looked like in game 2, and figured out who we were going to start on the mound for game 3. And we went up to Dorchester's field with just oozing with confidence, and it was one for the ages.
Yeah. It always amazes me, if I can interject here, JJ. It always amazes me, and we've seen so many of these teams, whether baseball or softball, with the fact that we had all that rain and the weather and everything else going on towards the end of the year with baccalaureate stuff, graduation. Just everything kind of getting jam-packed and compressed into one short time really shows me a lot about your team and how you guys were able to just instill in those guys the mental and physical fortitude with scheduling teams early and just going about it the right way to have those contingencies in plan and in place in case something crazy like this happens. Just talk about your team and kind of that mental approach based off of all of that.
Yeah, and that's as proud as I am of this state championship. That's what I'm most proud of, is their fortitude and their resiliency and their, they on their own. A lot of times as coaches, you try to develop mantras and try to, come up with something to hang your hat on for the season. And I didn't have to do that this year. They did it all by themselves. The 3 seniors. I mean, simple, but the word together mid-March just kind of stuck, and it was a part of every practice. The seniors had a pre-practice message every day, a pre-game message every day, without coaches having to talk. And when your seniors click and don't have senioritis and aren't checked out because prom or graduation or all the other distractions and all the other questions, they never checked out. I mean, to play 32 games, to go 29-3, to be committed to 6 or 7 day schedules every single week since January 27th. It is a grind, and they embraced it, and they were dirtbags and just showed up and wanted to practice. If we were like, well, we're giving you Saturday and Sunday off, because of it's Heritage Week, or we're tired or whatever. No, we want to practice. We call optional practices on Sunday afternoons, and we got a 17-man squad, and it was 15 plus at all these practices,
Wow.
even though it was optional. They wanted it. They saw the opportunity in front of them. And I've been a part of a lot of squads that have the talent, but can get distracted, because it's hard being a teenager. It's hard being a teenager in 2025 with all the distractions.
It's really hard.
Media,
it really,
Hard
really
being
is.
anybody.
Yeah.
Let alone a teenager.
Yeah. And I was just really proud of them. And, it's funny, after all this, the reflections of some of the parents, like, I don't know how they did it. We were so nervous, and we were this, and we didn't think we had a chance in free. And it just shows you how kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. And they're not these fragile little entities. They're tough.
Not at all.
If you challenge them, they will accept it. And these young men really, really held up to the challenges this year.
It's amazing.
Well, and they've been forged in the fire. I mean, they've all played a bunch of big games in their lives by this point. They're ready for it. They're ready. They want the smoke. They absolutely want the smoke. We got to see the bond, the togetherness when we had you guys on the bus on the way home, which is always one of my favorite things. Whenever we can pull that off, it's the coolest when we can get the celebratory bus ride home. There's nothing quite like that.
Yeah,
and
moment pretty cool.
Yeah, and you told me, you told us a couple of years ago, you were planning to hang them up, and this group of kids, by and large, is what kept you coming back for more, and the payoff came this year. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. You coming back to defend it?
Yeah, I would assume so. I haven't thought anything about next year. I've started working on the schedule and really trying to live in the moment, not look ahead. I mean, it's summer break for a reason, but the roster is solid. Only losing 3 seniors, 2 with a lot of playing time. I mean, they're dudes. Connor and Jackson will be tough to replace, both on, between the lines and in the dugout. But there's a lot of talent that's carried over, and some new blood coming in. So 2026 bodes well. And right now, I'm not 100% like signed on a dotted line, but I'd be shocked if I'm not back next year. But
I mean, look at you. You're all decked out in the gear. You got
you're ready to go. But these younger guys,
you get a little rest, you'll be ready to go.
Especially, I mean, you talk about someone like JP Perky, who had a tremendous showing in that championship series, among others. So you think you really see this youth of this team growing before your eyes as you get ready to defend that title, and I'm sure it's going to get them energized. They want to prove that they can do this themselves, and even a bigger way next year. So I mean, just talk about the younger nucleus of this team that will have a chance to build on this elusive first title.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours about this roster. I mean, you talk about JP, I can get emotional talking about that. A little cute little, shows you how old I am. I got a card from his grandma, Terry Kelly, who she's a legend. Back in like March or April, the card just showed up at my office, and it was like, "Happy anniversary, Coach Wells. We started this together 27 years ago. You started coaching my son. And oh, by the way, my grandson wears number 27 this year." So, JP's wearing 27, and I coached his dad. He was class of 01, and he was, when I got the job in 99, he was a sophomore on that varsity team. And then obviously Jacob's brother, JP's uncle, Ryan, I coached him. So that's pretty special. Yeah. Brandon Espinoza, who had
Ryan Kelly's JP Perky's uncle?
There you go. Come
on.
That
makes sense now.
Right. Come on, Justin. Try to keep up.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that branch of the family tree.
Yeah.
I mean, I of course know Mike. I've had many Kelly burgers in my day.
Yeah.
Mike and Terry, that's JP's grandson. And then Brandon Espinoza had a game for the ages. Had a great season. Got named All-State. Yep. And his pitching performance, if I coach another 50 years, I don't know if I'll remember.
Heroic performance.
Yeah, it was. And here's the thing. he had thrown 10 innings all year and threw 7 innings in the championship game. That's over 40% of his season in the championship game. After the game, I'm talking to Coach Jameson. He's like, we had no clue that's who we were going to see. We thought we were going to see X, Y, or Z, and we had no clue what we were going to see. And he was on. I coached his dad and his 2 uncles back in the day. So it's come full circle there. And then, I think Wes was touching on Sammy. Sammy Middleton was one of our leaders and our catalysts and spark plugs, and just played a really, really, really solid shortstop all year, and did all that as a 9th grader, So, he's got a lot of the tools, and it's not just between the lines. I mean, his work ethic is special, and he fit right in with the older guys all year long.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. We won't keep you any longer, but we could talk to you for days. We'll have to have you back on just to talk ball over the summer at some point, because I could just reminisce with you and talk about, like, the Legion team when I first got here that had Lawson and Kelly on it, and how Sonberg, who hit monster tanks, and just like how much fun it could be again if we got that.
Those Legion days were special. You had those guys. You had the Wes Butler and the other guys from Christian Academy. You had Patrick Andrews. You had Ryan Ward from Bluffton. It was really cool when they used to all get together and kind of play a summer all-star. And one of the, before I go, just to kind of touch on the accomplishment here, it's been since 2019, and it's been cool to hear from the kids that were a part of the 19, 20, 21, 22 and on teams. I could hear from Gage Hurlbut, Danny Leday, or Pace Gartner, or Luke Foley, or Reese Malone, or all the the Birds, all these kids that have been a part of our program to kind of grind it out.
They'll make an impact.
It's really cool. They all came out to the games, and after the Game 3 deciding game up there in Dorchester, Peyton Bullock, who a couple years ago was Region Player of the Year, he had made the journey and came to small town to watch the game. And after the game, he asked if he could get on the bus and talk to the kids. And he got on the game just to congratulate them on a job well done. And just the brotherhood and the relationships that this high school game, brings us all together and gets us to kind of teach these young men what it's all about. It's the most special part.
I got goosebumps, man. Because I mean, that's what you tell them when they graduate, right? It's like, hey, you don't understand it, but like, we're gonna get to the mountaintop one day, and the reason will be because of the time you guys spent pushing the rock up the hill.
Absolutely.
And so for them to actually get to see it and know that they and finally understand that they really did play a role in
they're 100% a part of the building blocks. It takes a village, and certainly the 2025 team will always be remembered as state champions, but it's not without the groundwork that was done.
Well, and the kids that played for you at Hilton Head High too, they helped mold you into the coach you are today. I mean, it's all connected, man.
Justin, it was earlier today. Well, I had lunch earlier this week with Rob Schock, and we're talking about old times. Yeah. And earlier today, I see John Snell, and I get a hug from him, and congratulations, coach. Just coming out of the woodworks. I've been on like a championship tour with lunches and dinners, just catching up with guys, and that's the beauty of it. Whether it's the fraternity of coaches or the brotherhood of former players, or whatever, it's just really cool that it brings us all together and keeps us focused and forever together.
Yeah, man. Never got to buy a beer on Hilton Head ever again. Great talking with you, man. Congratulations. So happy for your success, and it's been well earned, and we'll talk with you very soon, whether you're back.
I appreciate what you guys do. Put the spotlight on these young guys and all that they do, and it's really special, the platform that LowcoSports has. So keep it up.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
That's Chris Wells, everybody. Legend. A Loco legend, to say the least.
Tell you what, I got to know him a little bit when he first got hired by Hilton Head Prep. Bob interviewed him on the back then it was the Hilton Head News. And I watched that interview, and I was just like, this guy's got it. I didn't know who he was before that interview. And he fits the mold of all the other folks that we talk about with this Hilton Head Prep school, especially with the athletics and the fact that they're starting to get that foundation back, and a lot of it has to do with what Sean Hardy's doing, just setting everybody up for success. It's just awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, great coaches make great programs. I mean, and Wells has been at it a long time and does a great job. But our next guest is here because we have another baseball state championship to remember. So real quick before we get to him, going to shout out a couple of sponsors. We've got Hudson Seafood House on the docks back for another round on the Loco Booster Club. Coach Wells mentioned Rich Vasirico, bringing him out of retirement over at Hilton Head Prep. Rich Vasirico is one of the stars of Under the Bus. New episodes every Monday on the Loco Media Network. Go check it out. It's presented by Hudson Seafood House on the docks, a great place for seafood, sunsets, and cocktails on Hilton Head Island. Hilton Head Christian Academy supporters, the Satola family, they've come on board with Hilton Head Furniture. They bring handcrafted furniture, fine stuff made up in Hickory, North Carolina, down here to the Low Country to sell to you to keep in your home for a long time. Quality furniture at Hilton Head Furniture. And speaking of Hilton Head Prep, Coach Barron's got a new gig. He's over at HHI Windows and Doors, where they're improving your view of the Low Country. And I'll have a Coach Barron note for you guys in the parting thoughts. It's pretty cool. It was a big day for Hilton Head Prep basketball today. That's the tease. But before we get to that, we're going to talk with the star of that Hilton Head Christian Academy state championship run. Unlikely star at one point when he hit the walk-off home run, but likely star when he was on the mound. Hayden Brooks joining us on the Lowdown. What's up, man?
How are y'all? Doing good.
Look at you. So
Doing
big.
well.
You definitely beefed up over the last couple of years, spent a lot of time in the weight room, putting in the grind, and earning an opportunity at Montreat College, which we'll discuss that a bit as we go along. But first and foremost, let's talk about this season, because you guys, I think, sort of expected to win a state championship, or at least be in that state championship, state final last year. But not a lot of people, certainly outside of your inner circle, probably were talking about you as 4A state champs this year, and here you are sitting at back-to-back. So just tell us about this group of guys that was really a different team than a year ago, and how you were able to band together and have the year that you did.
I think after last year, we kind of expected it, like you said, with all those guys, 11 seniors, a lot of them going to the next level to play. And, I think that's really what helped us last year. But, coming into this year, I'm being the only senior. I think not a lot of people expected us to, make a run in the playoffs, especially go back to back. But I think that it started with all the younger guys. Like, I can only do so much as a senior trying to like speak into the guys, but it really started with them actually wanting to have a shot at it. A lot of the guys this year got a chance to really show themselves, and get a lot of playing time with the 11 seniors going away last year. But I think that it really started with everybody in the lower classmen kind of buying in to what we did last year, and them wanting to do it themselves. So yeah.
And you had to set the example for this. Tell me about just what you did in terms of what you said to these guys, going back to the start of the year, and how you led the way and set the example, both with your pitching on the mound, and of course coming up big in the clutch to plate, in when it mattered the most, as well as we alluded to at the start. But it just talk to me about how you set the tone through your play, and through the words that you gave your team as the season went along, and then coming in the playoffs as a 4 seed, and then just to define the naysayers, and just get the job done at every step. So I mean, how did you guys approach the season, and most importantly, what did you tell those younger players, those underclassmen, about what it takes to get this done?
I think it really started like our first week of open practices. I kind of just told the guys, we have a target on our back because we won it last year, but at the same time, we have a completely new roster. So I kind of just told them, everybody just give it their all and see what happens, not having, you know, that much certainty in what's going on this year, I think kind of helped us play more loose, play more relaxed. And yeah, like I said, I kind of just told the guys that we have the opportunity to do it. We just kind of got to go out there and do it. And I think what really helped us believe that was when we went to Florida the first week of the year and went and played big schools like IMG, Northside Christian, those big Florida schools that are legit. When I mean legit, they're legit. And kind of just see that we can compete with them, although we didn't, do that well in Florida on the record. But I think just kind of exposing them to how we can compete with everybody else, especially moving up to SCISA 4A. And seeing that, I think they realized that they had a shot at this, and we could really make a run at it. And then I think once we saw the bracket, we saw the seating, we kind of just stayed the same. We stayed level headed, just kind of, just play together, have fun. And yeah, I think that's what really helped us this year.
I want to hear more about the home run, the blast against Cardinal Newman, the walk-off shot. Look, you've grown up playing ball. You've hit for most of your life. It's not like you don't know how to hit a baseball. But to hear your teammates talk about it, it was like, somebody who'd never played baseball before went out there and rubbed one over the fence. So they're a little hard on you, right? I mean, you can swing the stick a little bit. You take BP.
A little bit.
You're not a PO. You can hit.
Kinda.
Well, tell me about that at bat.
Well, I was really upset when I gave up the tying run because I gave up a 1-out walk, which I hate doing.
Yeah.
And then to see that tying run go in, I'm like, dude, are you serious right now? And then I was like, I knew I was due up in the bottom of the inning, so I was like, I'm just gonna hope he throws one over the middle, and I'm just gonna swing as hard as I can, and hopefully I hit it.
And that's
but no, it was
exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool to see how many people were there, which was insane, which I realized when I was rounding the bases. But yeah, it was a cool moment, and I can always say that a PO hit a bomb to go to the state championship, so that's pretty cool.
You do consider yourself a PO at this stage? So you had to hit at that point? Is that where we were?
I mean, I played first base occasionally, but I mean, I definitely
like, were you in the lineup that night? You were batting?
Yeah. I was
you
at
always
first.
bat
I mean, when I'm not
pitch,
pitching, I played first.
Right, but do you
yeah, I'm
always
definitely not like a
bat when you're
what'd you say?
pitching? You always bat when you're pitching?
Yeah, I mean, at least for school. I won't next year, thank goodness.
So you're not a true PO.
Eh.
You still hit for yourself. You're not a PO. Now next year you're a PO.
Yeah.
Ain't no two ways about it.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, just one of those incredible moments for you and for this program to see you deliver in the clutch like that on a walk-off home run. And I mean, what was going through your head? I mean, the emotions had to be at an incredible high when you felt that ball go off the bat the way that it did. I mean, did you know that you did it at that moment?
Kind of. I mean, I hit it well, but I don't want to be the guy that, bat flips and it not be gone. So I had to kind of run a little bit.
Yeah. You kind of knew though. I mean, you didn't give it the full like Roman Colella treatment.
No.
Shout out watching Roman, or anything. Roman, when he hits one and he knows he hit it, he admires it, and
you can tell.
appreciate his swagger. He's had the swagger since he was young. But no, talk a little bit about these young guys, man, because like you said, you were the only senior, which is a really rare thing. And so like, I mean, you were Pops Hayden, because there were some young kids on there. There were some 8th graders that were playing key roles, really a young squad. So just tell us about the dynamic of kind of having to be the adult in the room sometimes as the only senior on a young squad.
Yeah. First I want to talk about Colt. I think without him, and
he's a horse.
Yeah, his pitching performance this year, I think, really, really gave us the best shot. We didn't really know what we were getting with him. He's kind of new, lefty 8th grader. But yeah, Colt just showed throughout his whole season this year that he was going to be a dog and that he was going to go out there and give it his all and, have a little swagger with it too. I think everybody else, Eli, Brody, all them coming in first year on varsity, I think they were big. And that, without them, we didn't really have any depth. So we had to buy into the guys, invest in everybody around us, and kind of just go with what we had. And I think that gave us the motivation to just want to win it for each other. But yeah, the young guys really, really showed us this year that it doesn't matter what grade you're in. If you can perform, you can perform.
With that, and they stepped up in a moment where looked like it was slipping. In game 2, you guys fell behind early, 3-0, and you got that momentum shifter and that solo home run early in the ball game, and then you just fed off of that as it went along. I mean, the switch flipped on a dime for you guys as game 2 really progressed. And just tell me about how everybody fed off of each other, and you guys started scoring runs in bunches to eventually dominate that game 2, and then doing it again for the most part in the clincher. But you just talk to me about that moment, about how it clicked and how that series changed momentum in an instant.
Yeah, I mean, game 1, I was on the mound, and I think losing that game kind of just lit a fire under all of us. We got nothing to lose. You're down 1-0, got to go win the game. But I mean, all year we've been really good at coming back late in the ball game. I think Coach Scarborough has helped us to relax more when we're trailing early. We were definitely a team that was very good at coming back. So I think going down 3-0 in game 2, you kind of know that you got to do something. And like you said, when we got that solo home run, we knew that we could score runs. And once we scored those runs to eventually mercy rule them, we had all the momentum going into game 3, so we were just ready for it.
Yeah, heck of a run by you guys again, and heck of a swan song for you after a great career there. And now you get to keep playing at the next level. You hinted at it earlier. You said, "Thank God you don't have to hit anymore," which I found humorous. But tell us a little bit about the recruiting process and why you ended up at Montreat and what you're excited about up there.
Yeah, so my recruiting process, I'd say it's probably pretty different than others. I started talking to, the Andersons, the SWOs, the smaller schools around the area. Just really going to camps everywhere around the state, just trying to find places where coaches really bought into me. And, I was getting closer in contact with the schools like Andersons and SWOs and all that. And eventually it led to them not responding anymore, kind of just leaving me hanging.
Yeah.
So then I kind of had to explore more options, going out of state, stuff like that. And then I ended up going to Sewanee in Tennessee for a camp. They gave me my first offer. Corvin Scott, shout out to him. He gave me my first offer, and that kind of set the expectation for me that I can go and get more than that. Loved Sewanee. Just didn't work out in the end. But then I was sending out a couple more DMs on Twitter, emails. Ended up at Montreat talking with Coach Stores, and he loved the way I pitch. He loves that I'm a first strike thrower. I'm efficient. I like to go fast. So he wanted me up on a visit. Visit went awesome. Talked with him. Got to see all the facilities and everything. He ended up giving me the offer. And, I sat on it for a little bit of time. Just wanted to make sure it was the right fit. And I pretty much knew in my head coming back from that visit to Montreat that I knew I was going to commit there. And yeah, Coach Stores really believed in me. He invested in me what I invested in him, and I'm really excited to get up there.
It's awesome, man. It's all about fit. It's all about chemistry and fit, and philosophy matters a lot. You know, like you said, he likes his pitchers to get ahead and work fast, and that's your MO. So those kinds of things matter more than people realize, I think. Like if he's constantly frustrated with you because you operate slow, and you pick around the strike zone and get deep in counts, then it's probably not going to be a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the kind of pitcher he likes, then that's a great thing. So it's a crazy world right now for you guys because
Yep.
The transfer portal being what it is, and then let's face it, like people don't stay in one place very long anymore. So
Nope.
You fall in love with a coach, and that's your guy, and then he might be replaced or move somewhere else, and then you're kind of a nomad trying to figure it out. So it's a lot to go through. Any advice for kids as they try to navigate the recruiting process and find their place?
I would say stay true to what you know that you're capable of. I'd say don't try to be anyone that you're not.
Yeah.
Like you said, people and coaches leave all the time. But really it's about knowing what you're capable of and knowing that being realistic about yourself, what you have to offer to schools. You can't be somebody you're not. And I think that, just staying true to what you have to offer to coaches is probably the biggest thing that I could say. Just stay true to yourself.
I think that's good life advice. I mean, I tell kids all the time, the best advice I can give you is to be who you are all the time, because no one will ever expect you to be anyone different. You don't have to pretend. You just are who you are. And, you'll find the people for whom that works. And that's the people you're attracted to. So sounds like you found your spot, man. Really excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to have you on, but you might be heading on to that next level, but you were leaving behind a program that is going to be right there again. The conversation potentially go for a three-peat. So how pumped are you to see what those underclassmen can do as they go to try to win 3 in a row?
The being the only senior is kind of cool. They have pretty much the same team, and I'm definitely going to be keeping track of what's going on. I love the guys I'm leaving behind. They've been with me through ups and downs, and I'm really excited to see them go for a three-peat, and I think they can do it.
I think we got a little dynasty on our hands here, man. I think you guys might win a few more because
I agree.
The kids coming up are pretty good too. So, and Coach Scarborough's really, really good, like really good. So, it's a good thing going over there, and it was great to talk with you. It's been fun to watch your career, and we're not done yet. We'll be keeping tabs on you up in the mountains, man. So,
sounds good.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and best of luck with everything.
Thank y'all.
Have a good one, Hayden.
That's Hayden Brooks, Hilton Head Christian Academy Baseball. Good to talk with him. Always love to talk with our student athletes and get to know a little bit more about them. Let them showcase their personality and like Coach Wells said, these kids are resilient, man. They are tough kids.
Yeah.
They're dealing with a lot. They are juggling a lot, way more. High school is so much harder than it was when I went to high school. I'm telling you, it is
really
crazy. Like if
Well,
you
just
want to
with the
try to
added
rank in your
pressure
class, and then the competition to get into colleges is on a whole different level than it used to be.
It's such a crazy,
It's a pressure cooker.
juggling
It
of
really
things you have
is.
to do, and it just seems to get competitive more so every year with
Well, and then these kids
applying
we're
to more
talking
schools,
to,
and with it just
a
seems
lot of the
that
kids we're talking to are trying to get into those top colleges and trying to keep a GPA high enough to get certain scholarships and all these things. And by the way, you've got weightlifting every day at 7 a.m. or 6:30 or whatever before school, and then you got school, and then you got practice after. And oh, by the way, you need to do your homework before you go to bed tonight.
I mean,
it's a lot. It really
and
is,
it seems
but
like
it
it's a
prepares
tremendous
them
grind
for
for those kids,
the
but then you
realities of life.
see the light at the end, and eventually you get those opportunities. And I mean, just all the credit to these kids and the credit to their parents as well, because you got to have somebody in their corner to push you in the right direction. So
Well, and the beauty
that's
of your kids being involved in all this stuff is that they're training themselves to be set on go all the time, because
Right.
in real life you have to
They're
be
going to
set
be
on
more
go
than
every day.
prepared
You can't just coast through it.
yeah, especially once you get to the collegiate level. Then after
Right.
that, get into the real world. It's you have to
The
be
real world
level
is
headed.
smack
You
you
have
in
to
the
be in
face,
that.
bro.
And it's getting more, like you were talking about, JJ and Wes as well. It's getting more and more competitive in everything.
Everywhere.
You know, everywhere, everything. It's even a lot different than when I was in high school. And I mean, we're going back almost 20 years for me. Crazy that
For
I'm
sure. I
saying
just
that.
feel like with the
It's
online
wild.
addition, to these, just the
Social
circumstances of
media.
how these kids,
Yeah.
these kids go through it. Like,
Technology.
yeah, technology has allowed kids to apply to more schools, and then the social media aspect just adds
Social
an added
media.
layer to things. There's a lot of pressure that goes through these kids when there are just different avenues for there's a lot more distractions in
Keyword.
things. Yeah,
You ain't
things
kidding.
are going at a mile a minute, and you have to lock in. And as a teenager, that's hard to do. That is hard to do. There are a lot of things that are speeding around you when you're and I commend these young men and young women, and it's a heck of a grind, and just seems like every year they have to do even more to get to where they want to go, and all the credit to those kids that we get to cover and be a part of their journey. And I'll tell you what, it is not easy at all for these young men and young women, but they are making us proud for sure, and it just makes it even more special to see those milestones, see those kids get accepted to school, see these kids win state titles, see these kids walk across the stage like they just did a few years ago. By the way, side note, Misa Garza at the May River graduation, we saw a little glimpse of that last night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Misa.
I mean,
He's
you
looking good.
talk about
Well,
all of
his
the
daughter was
graduations
graduating
going on
last night.
too.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal stuff. It's kind of like what I was talking to Coach Wells about, with just everything going at a fast pace. You know,
I was
talk about what
going.
we're all up to.
Because spring, that pressure cooker of May, like it got cranked up hot for a few days, man. It was crazy, and now we're in it because we got graduation tomorrow. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy at the end of the school year. I can vouch for that. And when you're trying to track down all your uniforms and all that stuff, it's wild and crazy
Schedules
stuff.
and rosters. And
oh yeah, and then by the way, you guys start making plans for next year.
Right.
Never
a dull
let's
moment.
shout out our
a few weeks
sponsors.
to catch your breath after everything dies down and before you crank it up again. So it's always nice.
Except it's open season right now.
Right.
Base Hit Life is our baseball and softball themed apparel sponsor. If you want to look good on the diamond this year and live your best base hit life, you got to get to basehitlife.com. Speaking of which, we had a great softball clinic tonight with One Loco Softball. Had Delcy Swift, our friend from Hilton Head, who's at Jacksonville University, and my friend Callie Earlington, who played at River Bluff High School and up in Columbia, and then at Bethune-Cookman, but she's in the portal. She's a catcher, and she came down to train some catchers tonight. So check out oneloco.org and look at our training section on the softball side if you want to get your kids out there and get better this summer locally with great fundamental training. Dr. Ambrose Cole, our official chiropractor, find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. Great for sports, those nagging sports injuries too. He knows the body well. Reverence Wrestling Club's our official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. And I saw some news from Reverence the other day about some kids winning some state championships in the USA Wrestling Youth Division. So good stuff going year round on the grind over there at Reverence Wrestling Club. And Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. Get your floors so clean, your feet will thank you. And Jay's Barber Shop is the place to be in Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. Might run into some old friends over there like Tony O'Banner or One Time among the celebrities who get their haircut at Jay's Barber Shop. But all right, boys. Parting thoughts. Marcus, you're batting leadoff.
Well,
I happened to see, and I meant to mention this the other night, that Ichiro Suzuki and Randy Johnson are going to be having their numbers retired this year
together
and next
because
year.
it's the same number.
And yeah, 51. So congrats to those guys for sure. Two of the finest Seattle Mariners, in my opinion, to ever play. Certainly Ken Griffey Jr.'s in that
Second and third,
conversation as
Second
well
and third.
as the top. I would have to say without a question.
I'd
I
say
mentioned
Ichiro goes second, and then Randy third, probably.
I think that sounds about right. I mentioned just a couple of things that I happened to see within the last couple of days. I know I've talked, especially with you, JJ, about pitching and the fact that arms are going more and more. But I've noticed in Major League Baseball, especially with my Cleveland Guardians, it's not just pitchers. Outfielders are starting to have Tommy John surgery and other situations with the elbow and shoulder injuries, and it's really making me wonder what is going to have to happen in terms of, or I shouldn't say what's going to have to happen, but how it will affect the game, 5-10 years down the road, because it just seems to me we're seeing it a lot more now than just with pitchers.
Yeah, I don't know.
To get your take on that.
I don't have a take on it because I don't know. I haven't paid close enough attention to know if it's really a trend or if it's an anomaly. Certainly, what I will say is that I think the use of technology in training baseball players and making them so efficient that they're like robots, like making little tiny tweaks to let them get just a little bit more. I think we're forcing the body to do some unnatural things, and we're bringing the incidence of injury into a higher range. I think that's real. I think when they go in the off season and they use the high speed cameras and they tweak their mechanics ever so slightly to get just a little bit more, I mean, you're training your body to go in a way that it doesn't naturally want to go. And I think when you start doing that, and that's why, you look around and everybody doesn't throw exactly the same. People throw out of different slots because that's where their arm naturally goes. And I think when you let it develop more naturally like that, I think you're less prone to injury from overuse because it's natural motion. Whereas when you retrain your mechanics to be a certain way that is unnatural, you're definitely putting some kind of strain on something somewhere. And if you do that over and over and over and over again the exact same way every time, eventually the rubber band's going to snap.
Yeah.
And so and that's where we are, and that's why the pitch counts at young ages are so important. Those outfielders, and people probably aren't even linking this up, but I guarantee you all of those major league outfielders were the best pitcher on their team when they were 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15 and 16 and 17 and 18,
or at least
and they threw a ton of pitches.
damage the arm of a young up and coming pitcher. I mean, it's every step from the not saying like 5-year-old that young, but there are components that from that point.
Well, 9's when you start pitching.
Yeah, there are components, but mostly it's like once the kids start pitching is what we're talking about, and then when that happens, you really have to go right away and limit the pitch count because you do not want to put yourself in a situation where you were behind the 8 ball in terms of I'm throwing this guy out for X amount of pitches and I'm starting to hinder his opportunity of avoiding those setbacks in the future. So I mean, pitch count is something that's incredibly important, and it's been a great implementation at all levels, and I love how.
But it's only one part of arm care.
Doctors and medical, the best medical people to consult on those things and make sure that you're giving these young people the best chance to succeed now, but also more importantly, continue to succeed as they go along. And it's everything in today's game. And I know that it will evolve as well. They're going to find examples to continue to build on in terms of what numbers are the best at certain ages and it's such an important factor now of baseball that
we've got those guidelines. Those guidelines have existed. People have to follow.
It's all manner of implementation, actually making them.
Yeah, you can't go, well, just this one time, or but he's a big strong kid, or but you can't, but the guidelines are the guidelines.
Guidelines are the guidelines. You have
to take it out of your hands, to take the emotional decision out of your hands.
Guidelines that at this age group, this is the maximum number of pitches.
But also, not every kid needs to go to the max for their age division.
No,
that's
a good thing.
Throw 10 or 15 less.
Right. Well, I mean, we have some kids that we take to the max, the big, strong kids that are big for their age and have been trained to do it. And then we have some kids that, like, you get 50 because that's all you need to throw, and others that they might get 30 or 35, 2 innings or 1 inning or whatever. But you build up to it. It's not just, you don't go out there the first weekend of the season and throw everybody to the max, I don't know. There's got to be some common sense to it. And then, like I said, pitch count's only part of arm care. Proper icing and stuff after you throw, running the day after you throw to get all that lactic acid out is a huge one. The things you do in between, the days in between you throw, when you throw, are as important as the pitch count. So, throwing a light bullpen, in between outings is important.
There's so many different variables in play that we don't think about. And
then off season is
the coaches have a big responsibility to make sure they do their job. As much as the kids need to do their job, the coaches have to find a way.
Well, I think in youth baseball, the parents really need to take ownership of this. And I think they need to, all the information's out there. They need to educate themselves and understand what all this looks like. The coach sends a kid home. The coach can't ice him at home. The coach can't make him go for a run tomorrow. The coach can't make him throw on the side. The coach can't make him do all that stuff. So the parents have to take ownership of this. And then they also have to take ownership of their kids' arm health and go to the coach and say, hey, last time he went to 75, he had some pain. Can we maybe dial it back to like 65?
It takes communication.
Or, hey, his rec coach pitched him the other day, so he's not supposed to pitch this weekend, by the rules. He can't pitch till Monday. We really need him to pitch. Well, I'm sorry, coach, he can't. Somebody else is going to have to pitch. You gotta be your own advocate on that, because again, emotional decisions, especially, people talk about paid coaches in youth baseball. And, I think it's great if you have the means to pay someone who's not affiliated with your team. But the reality is they're getting paid and they're expected to win. And when you've got dads who are coaching their kids and their kids' friends, they're going to take that very seriously. They're not going to jeopardize their health. And so I sometimes get, I see a lot of people online talking about, well, you got to get away from this daddy ball. You got to play with a paid coach. And I'm like, oh, hold on. That cuts both ways. So anyway, that's it. And yes, make sure kids get proper sleep. And hydration. For the love of God, children, drink your water. You all have these. Every one of you has like 6 of these. Carry it with you everywhere you go. When it's empty, fill it up. Drink water.
Hydration is everything, especially when you play these summer ball, these tournaments in the summer where it's 90 plus degrees and you're playing baseball or you're playing softball. And
I know I said water, not sugary drinks, not.
No, not
a Gatorade's fine when you're in competition, but you don't need to be drinking Gatorade all day either. You need to be drinking water.
You don't want to go with the soda. You don't want to go with the Gatorade when you're not actually in action and stick with the water and make sure to keep hydrated when you're out there, because I will say, especially around here, it gets warm very quickly once
Yeah,
the
it
sun
does.
comes out here. So
Steamy lately too.
yeah.
What you got,
Definitely
Wes? That
get
was a
warmer.
long discussion. Good
Yeah.
one though. Good topic.
Yeah, great discussion. I got some parting thoughts as well. I'll try to speed them up a little quicker.
You
But
good.
we talk all the time about when you go out to a baseball game, you never know what you could see. And today at Fenway Park, we saw the shortest walk-off homer in Major League Baseball history. That is based on the stat track tracking since 2015, hit by Cedar Rafaela, who bent it around the pesky pole for the 11-9 win over the LA Angels, and the only ballpark it would have gone out of was Fenway Park.
How about it?
That's awesome.
So
I like that
much needed
one.
win. Yeah.
I like that one thing that shows you how many parks it would have been a home run in.
Yep.
I think it's like, it used to be a Twitter account or something. I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm going to stop sharing my other window and I'm going to show you Cedar Rafaela's home run. Home run. Yeah, we're probably violating some rules, but oh my goodness.
Wow.
What a dinker.
Holy
What a little
smokes.
dinker.
Could have put it any
Uh,
better in terms
that was
of
a
like
can
just
of
right.
corn, bro. Just a little
Had
blooper.
just enough.
Yeah.
That seems
Beauty.
unfair.
Wow.
Beauty. Yeah. I said, never know. Baseball's such a crazy game. So you can hit
Poor
a
pitcher.
ball. It seems like it won't go out most parks, but Fenway Park with the pesky pole in right field and with the dimensions the way they are, it does the job. So, I mean, that's what makes baseball so much more unique compared to any other sport. The dimensions do not stay the same at every ballpark. It's completely different, or at least
Yeah.
different
No, it's
enough.
one of my
So,
favorite things about
yeah.
baseball.
Yep.
I love that about baseball.
Yeah. Secondly, Texas is a strike away. They're up 2-1 over Texas Tech in the Women's College World Series Game 1.
And they got that dub.
They got the dub. All right. So tough one there for Texas Tech, who led close towards the end of the game, but then Texas scored 2 in the 6th to rally back.
Yeah.
So Texas Tech, just one returner this year. They had 7 players transfer, including and then 7 freshmen as well. So
Yeah.
just defying the odds to make it to this point. And Texas Tech
Oh,
still has a chance
absolutely.
to even it up tomorrow in game 2, but to see what they have done this year is pretty awesome. But the Longhorns in the driver's seat over there in Oklahoma at the Women's College World Series. And then my final parting thought. Well, it's wrapping up this week, but a big round of applause, congratulations to the class of 2025, especially the Lowco class of 2025. And we've just, I say it every year, but it's emotional when you see those kids walk across the stage after all you did for them, all the coverage that we gave them, most importantly all the hard work that they did, and now they get to see it through after they finished up their careers. So all the best as you move on to the next chapter.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Cover them kids for the last time.
Yep.
Love watching them play.
And it's probably got to be a little bit extra bittersweet for you, JJ, with the fact that you taught some.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's real weird this year. It's real weird this year. Seeing the seniors go, it's got me in my feelings a little bit. It's cool though this week because they couldn't wait to get out of there. Oh, I can't wait to get out of here. And then this week, they have to come in for graduation practice in the morning, and then I just see them hanging around all afternoon. They don't want to leave. they ain't in such a hurry to get out of here after all. It's funny. But no, I'm happy for them and wish them well. I know the world is waiting though, and the world is big and scary and hard. And I just hope they know they can call on us if they need us, don't get ashamed to say, hey man, this is hard. But here's my parting thought. Well, first, a rant. These obstruction calls are out of hand in this softball World Series. Out of hand. You got to be able to go where they're coming on defense. You got to go where they're going to slide and be able to tackle them. Like, this is out of control. They got to do something about it. They're calling him to second base now on stolen base attempts. Like, how are you going to throw anybody out at second if you can't stand over the bag and tag them? Like, it's out of control. All right. But anyway, that was my old man yells at cloud. And now to end this on a happy note, I teased earlier, it was the 3rd annual Wings and Rings celebration for the Hilton Head Prep basketball team, boys basketball team, bringing home the 3rd straight state title, rather. There's this year's entry. And then here's the beauty shot, the glamour shot. Coach Barron with the handful of Gotti.
That's awesome.
He said,
as the man himself, Drake said, we got a really big team. They need some really big rings. There they are.
There they are. Yeah.
There they are.
Some big ones.
Yep.
So 3 rings for Coach Barron. And I'm glad he reached out and sent me those pictures today. It put a smile on my face. So on that note, we'll wrap it up, boys. But great show tonight. Great talking with legendary coach Chris Wells. So glad for him to get that championship finally. And I think I told you guys the night they won it, but Sam McDowell, my old friend from the Island Packet, who's now at the Kansas City Star, was tuned in on Game Changer watching that one too, and for his old buddy Wells from his days back here. So Wells talked about a lot of people who came out of the woodwork. There were reporters too who were coming out of the woodwork and wishing him well. And then Hayden Brooks, been a pleasure to watch him grow into such a tremendous young pitcher and young man, and wish him very well at Montreat College. Thanks to all of our sponsors, especially the OGs, Mickelson Law Firm. We appreciate your support over the years, even though tonight we led into you with ridiculousness, as we sometimes do. But we apologize for that, and we'll try to keep it on the rails a little better next time. But, we steadied the ship. It was a good show.
Yeah.
And we might get a viral clip out of Lady Elaine, so who knows. So, boys, thanks so much for coming along and tolerating my nonsense. It's always fun, and we'll do it again real soon. Wes, enjoy your vacation. We may get a show in while you're gone. We may not. We'll see. But either way, we'll catch y'all on the flippity flop. So for Marcus Walsh and Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. Till next time, go Loco.
The LowcoSports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing.